Opportunity to contact Rachel Blosser, who's the Cross Creek Township manager and tax collector. And I called her because we received notices of municipal taxes for Cross Creek Township, and they were 2 mills lower than the year before. That's most unusual. So I called her to double check I was seeing correctly, and she said, yes, that's true. And I said, how did you get them to be lowered? She said, you should know. And I said, well, tell me. She said, the impact fee. I said, how did this happen? She said, well, we got $500,000. And she said that there was a culvert on Park Road or Parker Road, I'm not sure which it was, that had been very bad for 2 years, for as long as she had been working there. And it was $250,000. They were able to take care of that, and the other $250,000 was used to reduce the taxes, and that was the result of the impact fee from gas drilling. The second thing I saw, and this has all happened in the last week, was an article in Farm and Dairy, and it's regarding an area in New Philadelphia, Ohio. It says, property owners in the Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District will see their assessments paid to the district cut in half beginning next year. The Conservancy Board of Directors approved a plan April 18th to provide for a 50% reduction in all assessment payments from property owners beginning in 2015. Funds generated from the district's recent oil and gas leases of its property and the Utica Shell development will cover project costs normally paid by the assessment funds. I just wanted you all to be aware of this, that there are other communities that are profiting. Cecil Township is not. That's all I wanted to say.
Before we go to administrative reports, I'd like to get on to the first resolution because we have, I've been informed by Bruce that we have somebody here for it. And under resolution number 088-2014, consider subdivision plan application number 2014-006, Torriero subdivision, location Pap Road, R1 zoning district, Gino Torriero applicant. So is there the engineer here for them that you could come up to the microphone and we could discuss this?
Is here as well. You've seen, I guess you've seen the subdivision. It's a very simple subdivision, a 2-lot subdivision, taking one parcel, breaking it into 2. The most complicated component of that was to illustrate that we could provide a driveway to the flag lot, which is the rear lot that's being subdivided. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to go into kind of detail on
So you do have a driveway to the other lot then that you can access?
Yes, that's correct.
We don't have ability to put it up there, right?
I don't think, Bruce asked me to give the board an explanation. Not one plan here, but essentially they're going to build a flag lot. It's going to come up off the back. This piece of the river. This is the flag lot. They're actually going to construct the road so we'll S-curve to get up there. It's steeper.
Straight shot.
We'll have an easement through this property, but technically the flag is that location. They provided to us and modified the access driveway to make sure that they could at least get emergency vehicle up there and giving that back. There's no requirements in our ordinance related to that. They've cooperated and given us some of that information. So they're going to need to grade this up there. Mr. Toro has built other houses in the township on top pieces of ground, so they can be able to do it.
Dan, I have 2 questions. Yes, I have 2 questions, Dan. I don't seem to have the information here. Was this the property that was being split into less than a 5-acre
Yes,
parcel?
and they revised that.
Okay.
Yeah, they revised it.
And this is for a drip irrigation?
Drip irrigation, yes.
And does Washington County not require a backup?
We don't get involved in the sewage side of things. We just make sure that they provide a planning module.
It has a backup. It has a backup. There are 2 sites approved.
Okay, and what they're both for the spray?
They are both suitable for the drip irrigation system.
Drip irrigation. That's all I wanted to know.
Is there any other questions from any members on the board?
Sure.
motion?
I'll make that motion.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? So passed.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thanks for doing that. Okay, now we're going to go back to administrative reports and the township.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have prepared a written report that has been submitted to the board members. A majority of my items are actually within the resolutions, so my report will be short and I'll address any questions you have during the resolution section. Just two items of notation. We have posted 2 job openings in the Observer Reporter, and we're receiving applications now. That application closing date is May 16th. We'll review those applications and present them to the board to see if we can hire some employees for our Public Works Department, that was approved at last meeting. We also talked, we also talked about the deposits on streets, and I'm hoping when John gets into his report, he can indulge the board a little bit and see that it's a little more complex than just a simple
About the snow,
Right.
snow being pushed out onto the streets, okay.
I did send a letter to Jim Cannon, Jim's with Range Resources, discussing some of the comments that we've had in the past, that the board was actually obstructing drilling in the township. And Jim and I have been playing phone tag, although he assures that's not the situation, but he'll provide a letter to us, and I hope to provide that at a future meeting. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the board? Okay, let's move on to the police department next. Chief Bukovinski.
Good evening, everybody. April 2014, we had 336 calls for service. We patrolled 12,180 miles. The township overtime hours were 53 hours, reimbursed overtime hours for 70 hours. We had a total of 43 criminal investigations and 36 traffic investigations. We had 246 traffic stops, 56 removing citations. Might have been some of the stop sign violations, Mrs. Bowden. 9 moving citations, 59 traffic arrests. Yes, I said it might have been some of the Burnside Road stop sign violations. Traffic arrests 4, and we had 112 written warnings.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Next, we'll go on to the building and zoning. Bruce?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had provided my monthly recap by email to the board. Just a few highlights. We had 37 building permits issued for the month of April, which resulted in about a little over $10 million worth of construction value in the township. I've also provided a recap of the code enforcement officers' activities for the month, and as well as just the agenda from the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board. One of which will be further discussed later on, is to set a public hearing up for the In-N-Out grocery store on Millers Run Road for them to provide fueling for automobiles.
Conditional use hearing.
That will be the conditional use hearing. If the board has any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Okay. Okay, next is Public Works. Bill?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe everybody has received a copy of my April operations report. I have a request for the board that they respectfully consider purchasing a 3,000-gallon brine storage tank, pump station, and 500-gallon nurse tank with pump and ground speed application control. $15,000 was requested and approved in this year's budget for the purchase of the equipment, and the following quotes have been received. U.S. Municipal was the low cost estimate of $13,905.80. Walsh Equipment submitted a cost estimate of $15,868. I'm recommending that we purchase the equipment from U.S. Municipal. Installation will be performed by in-house personnel.
I have a couple of questions for you. We did put that in the budget. How much did we allow in the budget for that?
$15,000.
Okay, and where's the equipment going to be installed at?
The 3,000-gallon brine storage tank will be in pump station will be installed up at South Point, at the salt storage dome up there.
Storage up there.
And the nurse tank will be outfitted on one of our spare trucks, and it will maintain that tank up at South Point. Currently, the two trucks that are outfitted with the brine system are only capable of carrying 100 gallons in their tanks. They're actually going back and forth to Peters Township to reload that 100
That's what I was
gallon
gonna
tank.
say, we're purchasing the brine water from Peters.
Yes, at a cost of 12 cents per gallon.
Is there any other questions from anybody on the board? Do I have a motion then to, we've got to buy this,
To purchase the salt brine storage equipment.
$2,905.80.
I think it was.
US.
$13,905.80.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved.
I'll second.
Do we have a second? There we go. Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.